Well, the reason for my YouTube channel came to the fore today. So I bought this digital readout a long time ago, and I installed the readout, and I took it off because I had to use a 4-jaw chuck on here, and I can't find anywhere to put this. If anyone's got an idea of where to put this digital readout that's better than where I've got it, if I've got it here on the front, if I put a bigger chuck, and this is a tiny chuck, and I start going into where this is underneath the chuck, that's the cover, the jaws hit, or if the jaws open, so that's a bit of a constriction. But if I had put it on the back here, then it gets in the road of the tailstock. I just can't find a place for it that doesn't have a problem. Anyway, I had to use this 4-jaw chuck for a job, and I took the readout off. That was for Pete's, fixing Pete's, my mate Pete's bandsaw support setup. So I had that, and I had this line over here, but this wasn't. And I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, how does that fit together? I'm looking at that, and I'm putting this on here and going, well, that obviously screws onto there, but what's that? And we've got drilled and tapped holes here that I've marked out. You can see where I marked them out. What have I done? And I thought, I know, I'll go and look at my YouTube channel. So I scrolled back and really checked. Nothing. And I thought, I'm sure I videoed this. So I went into my folder that I keep all my videos in, and I found that I did record it. I just didn't edit up the video and put it online. So this is the preface. I'll do that. But what I was able to see was this existed. I could see, I just went and looked at the video that I'd taken, unedited video, and that goes there, and then with that there, that goes there, and funnily enough, everything fits. So I'll put this back together. I'm doing this because I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I will post that I bought a touch DRO. This readout, it's great, particularly on the Z. The reason why this X isn't back on is this scale actually works quite well. It's and I can't really see, I've got the shavings in there, but I didn't even record this, but I made all this bracket here and everything to mount the Z readout. And having a readout on the Z is really useful because, there are scales on here and it's got a vernier on it, but that's really dodgy to read and there's a lot of backlash and so forth. So the Z-axis readout is way more useful and important than the X, but the X is still nice too. And I got the touch DRO set up, and if I had the touch DRO, this is not all that useful in that it just reads the travel, and on the lathe you want it to have that you put in the diameter that you want, and it halves whatever it gets back from the readout, and you get you can get a diameter reading. So you can actually, on a good readout, you set in the diameter that you take a test cut, you get that diameter, you punch it into your readout, and then you just look at whatever diameter you're working to, you can get it straight off the readout. With this, I can only get an incremental movement, and then I have to halve whatever that moves. If I want to take a 1 mil, I've got to move it 0.5 mil on this. But I've had the touch DRO for a few years. I've just never had never got around to installing it. So I'm going to put this back on, and I'll put up a video with this, how I designed this, and then I will make one of the touch DRO, and I might even make a finished one where it's just a short video showing you what it is, rather than the full build, because I do notice that most people don't watch most of my videos. Well, of the people that watch, they don't watch all of the content. They skip through. So most people won't even ever get to this point in the video. They'll just skip. Anyway, I'll get this together, and then I can start looking at the touch DRO. Hi there, so I'm finally biting the bullet with the cross travel digital readout for the lathe. I've ordered a touch DRO to replace this, because this has two displays on it, but it doesn't work for a lathe. Well, you can't halve the x-axis, so you can read in diameter rather than radius, and you can't punch in any numbers. This is just what came with this low-cost set of slides that I got. So what I've done is I've cut a piece of, looking at this, I've been worried about using up travel. Now, normally I wouldn't need to get this far down, and I'm also a little bit concerned about losing, I was a bit concerned about losing diameter. But I was watching Cloud42 the other day. Now, he doesn't have a digital readout on his lathe, but he does have a tray across here. And he was machining up a part, and he couldn't get to it because this cover that he put in here to protect the bed, I think, was getting in the road, so he just took it off. And I thought, of course, I've been worried about this. 99.9% of the time I'm not going underneath that bed, and if it's sitting up, you know, if I've got a cover up here, it's not, I need to go over the bed most of the time anyway. I mean the cross slide anyway. So if I make this so the whole thing comes off with a few screws, it can easily be readjusted when it puts back on again. On the rare occasion when I might need to do something, I can just take it off. So I suddenly went, oh, okay, now I can do it. So I've got this travel as far toward me as it goes, and I'll put this slide as far toward me as it goes. This, I've screwed it onto a piece of 6mm plate. Now, there's not much of a gap underneath there to get something. The mounting screws for this head are underneath here. So I want to, I've got to have it out that way because I've got the USB coming out here. I've already got two mounting holes, but I won't use these ones. But I've got this one here, and if I drill another one here in line with that, I should be able to do that, or even if it's not in line. As far as alignment is concerned, there's slots in both ends of that. So if I get this close, so I drill and tap a hole here. I've already got a drilled and tapped hole there. That was just part of the machine. That's M6, so I can just put an M6 countersink in and sit this on here. And I'm thinking, I've got a cutout. I've already cut a bit of this out for the. This is the Z-axis that I fitted quite a while ago, and I didn't video that. But there's the Z-axis in here. So I had to cut out this part of the cover there. You see this cutout here, there, that cut out, so that I could get right up to the full travel of the Z-axis. Now that's just got shavings all bunching up underneath it. I need to clean the bed out. But if I get rid of that, I can come up into there, and that still scrunching up. Anyway, That shows you how much I go down there. I've got shavings all up underneath there. But yes, I cut that out so that there was clearance for this. Well, if I cut a little bit further back, if I put this in here, like that, that will go into the slide there, and if I just take a little bit more out, I can, that's now starting to catch on the guard, but if I take a little bit more out, I can go forward further than that if I want to. So that's easy to cut out. You see there's the cut out there. If I take a bit more, I can go further forward than that. Not that I often would, but I can get further than that. So I might just take the chuck off and cut that out. With that sitting more or less like that, and I can put an angle bracket underneath there. But what I'm going to do is mill this plate down between those two ends and take it down to say 3mm thick, or 4mm thick, something like that. Take 2 or 3mm off it, and that gives me room to put a 3mm bracket. So I've got this 50 by 50 by 3. I can cut that, put that up against there, cut that off, and put that 3mm underneath. That gives me plenty to fix onto to the head. So just have a short piece about that long on there, and then another cover which I'll just fold out of 1.8. I've got plenty of 1.8 sheet all down here. Fold it and attach it. It doesn't need to move really, so I could attach that onto this plate, I think, maybe. Oh no, I can't, because it's got to clear it. Oh, or I've got to get, there's the USB connection, that's somewhere down here. Yeah, I've got to get a USB connection onto there and get the cable out. And I think I have to go that way, because if I go the other way around, that's going to take up too much room. And it's going to push that out. So, is it going to make any difference? Yes. Because ultimately the cover has to come out over this. So the cover is going to be as long as the cover is going to be. I don't think the cover needs to move. This can slide along underneath that cover. In which case I'd be best to attach it to this part here. If I slide that out a little bit, put it like that, then I've got, oh actually I've got a gap underneath here, and I've got the same down there. So I can attach a plate to underneath here, have it out and up and over, and have that run out and back. Yes, I think I might maybe decided. So that's where we're at. I'll do a bit more work and we'll see where it looks, where it ends up. Well, I thought I'd get away with it with this cutter, but it's chattering too much, so I made this spanner the other day, just along with all the other things that's going on. The spanner, it undoes the stuff on the top to remove cutters, blew out, as you can see. So it was this cascading chain of, I can't do one job until I do another, and I can't do that job until I do another. So I just moved this up out of a piece of steel. I can do that. And it'll take a bit longer now, because I can't use that cutter, but I'll use an end mill instead. Alright, one more time, let's see that. I'm going to get rid of some of the tape. Okay. Turn that off so I don't forget it. Okay, so there's the undercut. It's 2.5 mil out of 5 mil. So that leaves me 3.5. So yeah, there's 2.5, which leaves me 3.5 thick here, which should be plenty. And that gives me enough room for the angle plate to go in underneath to move to hold the head while this moves. This will be moving with the. No, actually, it'll move the head while this stays still. That's right. Right, that'll do for this. This is with the plate put on. Just noticed that there's actually a step out here. So I'm either, I think I'll just mill a 1/2 mil or something off that plate at the back to clear that little bit here, that step. I'll do that now. Digital readouts are lovely things. Just set it up on the job, set up your readout, get your positions, and away you go. And there they are. Look at those holes, just beautiful. And there should be a 5mm gap here for that to sit on the lathe properly. So I'm very happy with that. I've stripped down the top of the cross slide just to give myself a bit of working room, and I've put this hole here in, which is a mirror to that hole. And I have marked this out and centre punched so that will go there, and I think if my calculations are right I should just mirror that. So it's 26 down from the end and 13.5 in from the side, which puts it roughly 14 off the side of that, which is kind of makes sense. So that's going to sit like that. And while I've been at it, that's screwed on there nicely, and I've undercut this. I originally had this just shorter. I just cut a bit of angle off, but then I realised there was not any way to get those screws in to hold it in place. So I just cut a new one a bit longer and put those holes outside of there, so now I can get them in. So this all sits like that, and we'll have to countersink that hole so that I can get the countersink screws in here, so it doesn't in there and down there, so it doesn't interfere with the base of this. But that's alright, because I've got my tap and die set on top of it. I have a pack of screws, and among the screws that I have M6 countersinks. So that will allow me to put that on without any problem. So I will check out my calculations, mark out this end. I think I might put these into the mill. No, I don't know whether I put this in the mill or not. I just drop it onto my drill press and knock the holes on there in no time. It's not going to be a big job to put it on there, but I'm just wondering whether I should slot. How precise are my measurements? If they're out, I'm going to drill 6.5mm, so that gives me 0.5mm clearance on the bolts, on the screws. So if I can get it within 0.5mm, it'll all screw together. But otherwise, I might have to slot it. Maybe I'll drill them in the drill according to the digital readout, so that they'll actually go in where they should. I'll center drill them first and so forth, so I get an accurate hole position. And then if they don't quite line up, I might have to slot a little bit. But we're moving forward. Drilled and countersunk those two holes, and they came up nicely. And I've drilled and tapped these two holes here, and I'll see that one I know is right. I've just done that. I decided not to take, I was thinking of taking this whole thing off and putting it on the mill, but really I can oversize. If this isn't exactly right, I can oversize or slot the hole in the mating part easier than I can take that off. And it's only to clamp it in position, so it's not actually holding anything in critical position, it's just locating that head. So I'll put it back together again and we'll see what it looks like. Well, it's screwed in place. I need to make the guard, but we can see here We're getting a readout. We already had the Z-axis working. It's labelled Y on this, which is not correct. It should be the Z-axis. But there we are. That is all. That screw went in without any problem at all, so I got that right. I've got slots on here that allow this to be adjusted, and they're close to centre. They're not perfectly on centre, but they're all right. That one's closer to centre than that one, but that all is sitting fine. So now I need to fold a guard for that, and I'll attach it underneath here. I'm going to screw it through onto the front here. There's enough room. There's enough room underneath that lip there to put some extra attachments, so I can have it attached on each end and in maybe 3 or 4 places along there, so it'll be nicely held, and it'll just come, the cover will just come out past that, up and back over. And as I said, yes, it will interfere in some degree with the clearance down here. I still have to clear out that bit of cover here as well, but there's still a reasonable, well, it's going to be around the same, just a little above. I think it'll have to be the height of the cross slide, so I won't be losing very much. And if I do this right, the cover will come off with a couple of, well, 4 screws or something, and then once I've got to them, these can come out, and these two, that one and that one and that one and that one, will remove all of this, and then there's just 2 more screws there to take the whole thing off. So that's at least I've got the cross travel in and operating. Now to protect it. Here's the aluminium cutout. So we've folded along here and here, so it'll go in underneath there, fold up out here past the connector USB, and then that comes up and then that folds back. Then these 2 wings fold in, and I want to actually fold a tab on either side. And one of them I want to fold in underneath. This one I want it to fold in underneath the piece. So I probably have to bend it 1.5 millimeters further out to allow for the material. And this one I need to fold the other side because I want it to be in line with, I want it to finish up still in line with this, so they can get screwed to that. So, wish me luck. I always find this sort of stuff entertaining. Hats off to all those sheet metal workers that know how to allow for all the material and everything. But I did, if you look back through my videos, I did a cowling for my 1936 Buick, and that folded up all right. So we'll see how I go with this one. Here's the cover that I've got so far. So this sits like that onto the machine. Like this. That screws onto those two. There's two holes there and there. That it's goes onto. That one screws on and is adjustable by these ones. So they're slots. That screws onto, well, we can see I've drilled and tapped two holes on there for that. So all of that's right. And here's my most beautiful cover. So I really struggle with this stuff. But that this goes in underneath like that. And it's just a little bit. Yeah, so this screws onto here. I've got 4 screws along, no, 5 screws on there and one out here and here. I did have this break off on the corner. That was folded originally, but I've riveted it in place. That one's not broken. I might look at soldering this. I mean, it's not going anywhere, but it just annoys me that I broke it off trying to get it all together. And I actually didn't use my nice little finger brake very much, because trying to get it into the shape I needed, I kept getting things in the road of, like, you know, you go to bend something and it's hitting onto something else. So I use this piece of this bit of plate as a mandrel and bashed onto it. So you do what you have to do, I guess. So I'll see if I can flatten it out a little bit more. Yeah, it's a bit curved out and up at the top. There you go. Bit of pressure in the right place. And so that goes on here. And just turn down some screws. And there's some shavings in there. And that sits in like that. Hopefully. Now there is a problem. Actually, there you go. There is a little bit here that I think I'll cut that little bit out here, but I think it's still interfering with the plate. I think it's sitting high, actually, just there. So I might trim that back a tiny bit to get that flat. But I have to make sure that this will sit on properly without getting... Well, that seems like it's about right there. Here's the guard in place. It's really not moving at all. Much. You know, I might have to put a little bit of something in this gap here to stop shavings from getting down inside of there. I kind of had to have it a little bit above because the knobs, the buttons on the head, the reader head, sit up reasonably high. But if you come down here, in all honesty, the likelihood that I'm going to need to get much larger diameter than this on this lathe, it's possible. And it is, at the moment, I will admit, quite a nuisance to get those screws in, try to line them up. And at the moment I haven't got one in the back corner, but I'm wondering with this being as firm as it is, whether I'll bother, because it's actually a bit of a nuisance. I mean, I've got my corner here, but this is going to do its job, and I've got the cable coming out. I just drilled a hole at the back here. If I can get it so you can see it. I just drilled a hole. There it is. There. And I'll put a grommet in that, I think. But for the moment, if I turn on my readout, I have that x-axis working.